Oowusu, Yamato Takeru's twin brother, also set out on a journey under the orders of his father, Emperor Keiko. His destination was Mino. Two brothers, the sons of a local governor, lived in Mino and were renowned for their unparalleled beauty. The emperor hoped to take their eldest brother, Eitooko, as his son-in-law and establish a connection with Mino. Oowusu followed the imperial order and traveled to Mino. Finally, he brought Eitooko back to Yamato. Eitooko lived up to the rumor and was a handsome man. Emperor Keiko was overjoyed at first sight. However, Oowusu handed Eitooko over to his father and returned to Mino early the next morning. He was never to be seen at court again. Why hadn't his son returned? The unsolved mystery turned to irritation. Soon, dissatisfaction grew, and suspicion began to take hold deep in his heart. Counterfeit Yamato Takeru. Japan's legendary superhero myth. Episode 3, Brother Killer. Takeru returned to Yamato. He defeated Kawakami Takeru in the Kumaso. In Izumo, he decided that making peace with Izumo Takeru would be the best thing to do. He reported all of this to his father, Emperor Keiko. But his father had no words. He didn't praise him. He didn't blame him. His mind was already preoccupied with something else. Oowusu had gone to Mino. That was the only thing that occupied his father's mind. His father suspected. Oowusu had presented the fake Eitooko to him, and had taken the real Eitooko for himself. The emperor gave Takeru a new command. Bring back Oowusu. If he refuses to return, kill him. Bring back his corpse. Yamato Takeru set out. Riding his horse, he headed for Mino. His heart felt heavy. More than the conquest of the Kumaso. More than the subjugation of Izumo. Why had his kind, almost cowardly brother disobeyed his father's orders? He had no answer. With thoughts in his mind, he simply rode his horse. Yamato Takeru arrived in Mino and was reunited with his brother Oowusu. Two things surprised him then. First, his brother's face looked healthier than before, with a calm, happy smile. Second, a young man stood beside him. He had his arm around his shoulder and was leaning against him. His name was Ototooko. He was the younger brother of Eitooko, who had married Emperor Keiko. Oowusu said, I entered Mino and met the brothers. Eventually, I fell in love with Otatuko Ototooko. Following my father's orders, I sent my brother Eitooko to Yamato. And my mission accomplished. After that, I returned to this land to live with the one I loved. Takeru asked. Why did you leave in silence? Oowusu replied. You know my father's character. If my relationship with Ototooko had been discovered, both my brothers would have been taken away from me. That is why I left Yamato in silence. His older brother, Eitooko, also understood. For his younger brother's sake, he became a human sacrifice and married into the Yamato clan. But the plan backfired. His father, Emperor Keiko, became increasingly obsessed. And the bonds of peace were in jeopardy. Takeru argued. We must return to Yamato. If things continued as they were, the ties between our two countries would be severed. But Oowusu was adamant. I will not give in. I will never part with Ototooko. His resolve was as unwavering as a rock. Takeru was frustrated. Where did that frustration come from? Was it the sight of his brother disobeying him? Or the frustration of not being able to fulfill his father's orders? He knew. He had cut off love. He had prioritized his mission and sacrificed his life. And yet his brother was determined to live with the one he loved. The difference between them burned in his heart. Seeking a solution, Takeru reached for the hilt of his sword. My father gave me an order. If you defy me, I will kill you here. At those words, Oowusu was the first to draw his sword. He shielded Ototooko with his back and glared at Takeru. Seeing this, Takeru's anger reached its limit. The shadow of his father pushed him forward. Kill them. Strike them down. Take them back as corpses. That way, I will be free from this frustration. At that moment, Oowusu spoke up. If you want to kill us, then kill us. If your only life is to obey your father. Being alive is the same as being dead. Takeru was confused by his brother's actions. The state of his brother before him. He was no longer the timid, quiet person he once was. My brother grabbed his sword and stood bravely towards me. His arms were thin and weak. The tip of the blade was trembling with fear. And yet, an emotion similar to fear for his brother welled up in Takeru's heart. I had followed my father's orders and lost my love. In contrast, my brother gripped the unfamiliar sword in order to stick to his beliefs with the person he loved. But it wasn't my brother who was weak, it was me. Just as the two were about to cross swords, a shadow jumped in between them. That's Eitooko. He was a man from Mino who had married into Emperor Keiko of Yamato. He stood between Takeru and Oowusu. If you're going to kill these two, then kill me. Takeru was confused. Why are you here? If our father finds out about this, his anger will only grow. Eitooko replied quietly. I am no longer of any interest to the emperor. But I have a plan to put an end to this conflict. With that, Eitooko suddenly took Oowusu's sword and, before anyone could stop her, plunged the tip of it into his own chest. Takeru returned to Yamato alone. He picked up the linen bag and presented it to Emperor Keiko. The emperor glanced at it and said, "What is that?" "A kitten." Takeru replied. "The bag contains the head of my brother, whom I had killed. His arms and legs were in the way, so I cut them off. And threw them into the toilet along with the excrement and urine. After killing him, I left him exposed in the open for 3 days. His flesh rotted, and maggots began to appear. His face was completely disintegrated, a sight too horrible to look at. Do you still want to check?" The emperor didn't reply. He wouldn't even look Takeru in the eye. Instead, he gave Takeru a new order. There are fierce clans in the 12 eastern kingdoms. They eat people like wild beasts and lead rebellions against the imperial court. You go. Go there, conquer them, and pacify the region. After saying that, Takeru's father fell silent, and said nothing more. To be continued.